Hey y'all, thanks for coming by the show. Tonight's going to be episode 1 of the podcast, Swamp Talk, and the episode's Whippersnappers versus Millennials. We're going to be talking about things being different today from how they was 2, 3 generations ago and the consequences or effects thereof. I've got a couple of guests that's going to be joining me. And that's kind of what this podcast is going to be about, is going to be bringing up topics and talking about things that might be considered taboo for normal society, but things that need to be talked about and brought out more in the open instead of just being talked about around a campfire or around a couple of beers with some buddies. So for tonight, I'd like to bring in the first guest. We got the Hoff in the house.
How you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Nah, not too bad. Can't complain. Nobody that gives a shit anyways, but
Yeah, well, there you go. And then we got my second favorite, Rich, Flying Rich.
Wait. I'm the number 2 favorite, Rich?
Yeah, I was waiting to see if you'd catch that.
Wow. Dude. I don't know.
You
No,
just
but for real,
second string.
I do have good competition. We got the Hoff here, so okay.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting. You're starting your first show with the 2 Riches that are everywhere.
Yeah.
So I was like, I guess I'm really am a podcast if I got the 2 of y'all on here, because you're the 2A podcast co-host.
I was waiting for that
surfing
word.
co-host.
I was waiting for that.
Trying to see. I think I got someone else back here, but it's not. Oh, well, anyways, never mind. It just went away.
It might have been the old man.
I see we got Zach Carr in the house and Man Against the Masses. How are y'all doing tonight? And Shooting Gallery New England, another squadron member in the house.
Yep. Yeah, cool. Good show.
Yep.
We've got Aegis at the airport picking up the boss. Oh, he's coming in? Rod's coming in?
Yep, he's going to come on because we are sponsored by Aegis Gun Care.
Very cool.
I'm trying to do this all on the phone here, so just bear with me a minute.
Yeah, no worries, man. I know what it's. Well, I actually do it on the phone. I was trying with my Wise earbuds to do it with my new phone, but just pain in the ass. And
I also want to preface this whole thing, especially with my 2 guests that are on here, with this being Whippersnappers versus Millennials. This is no offense against y'all's age, and I appreciate y'all being here for y'all's wisdom and y'all's wit.
Well, I'm a boomer. I'm the last year of the boomers.
Oh, you're the last year. Well, then I'm safe because I think you're a year older than me.
I'm 64.
Mm-hmm. Wait,
which was the last year of the boomers.
You're older than me. I thought you were. No, you're bullshitting. I thought you were younger than that.
No, I'm 57.
Okay. When you said you were 64, I thought.
No, I was born in 64.
Got it. And I'm like, wait a second. Yeah, I was born in 65.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I wasn't even a thought then.
Trust me, I wasn't a thought either.
There you go. We got Joe Morgan in the house.
Hey, Joe. How's it going, man? Yeah, so I on my community tab, I dropped a message like, hey, join me here.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all putting the word out and sharing it.
Yep.
So now, are you going to have Joe Shooting Gallery New England on? Because if the title of this is Whippersnappers versus Millennials,
Yeah, well, that is the plan. He said he might be able to jump on a little later. There's
Oh yeah.
a few more guests in the lineup that I'll
Ah.
mention if they can come on, but I don't want to say too much if they're not able to make it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But while I got y'all here, it's a perfect segue for the first topic I was wanting to bring up. I know I had mentioned this to, uh, I guess I'll say Rich number two, Flying Rich, about the.
I'm number one.
Yeah, always number one, except for when it's the other number two with the pouch and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
I was talking about how back in the day, in the 50s and 60s, which is a little bit before y'all, they actually had in a lot of schools firearm safety classes
Yep.
and even shooting teams that were an actual like sports team for the school.
So now I've only heard rumor about it. I think maybe my high school had a basement shooting range.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know for sure, but I think if it wasn't my high school, and I'm talking about Islip, New York, I think other schools may have had a basement
Yeah.
shooting range.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you actually brought that up because that was one thing I was wanting to segue into. The high school that I did go to, which I graduated in 2004, which is, obviously a lot later than y'all, but my school had a rifle range under the gym that was originally used for 22s and stuff, but we still used it for the ROTC with air rifles, and it was like a 15, 25-yard range
Mm-hmm.
that had a slope down from the parking lot to where you could go into it instead of actually having to go downstairs and stuff. But it was the remnants of that actual firearms in school
Mm-hmm.
being taught in
Yep.
one way or another.
Wow.
And then with all that stuff kind of being phased out and hush hush type stuff back
Mm-hmm.
then in the 60s and stuff, then you fast forward a couple of generations to the 80s and 90s kids that are at least one, if not two generations removed from that being commonplace. And then that's where you start seeing a lot more stuff with some of the more publicized and uh, start of the school shootings, or what the media tries to build up as mass shootings.
Well,
Excuse me.
what I find interesting is you used to be able to order a Thompson submachine gun from the Sears catalog and have it delivered straight to your house.
Yep.
Yep, as long as you had enough money.
Pre-68 wasn't even that much money.
It wasn't. Oh my gosh, could you imagine?
I'd love to go back then and just order thousands and thousands of them.
Do you sell them by crates?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was supposed to
Oh.
say
You sell them by semi-loads, I'll take 3.
There, yeah. If we all had a time machine, things would be great.
Oh, yeah.
So I think things are interesting now that there's a lot of first person shooters in pretty much any high school boy and maybe girls also have played first person shooters, and now they have more realistic games where it's not just a rifle, it's a particular rifle, and kids are learning what a Barrett 50 is like from a video game, or what each specific gun is like, whether it's an AK or an AR from a video game. And they're having more interest in shooting the real thing, more in and realistically, I'm a newcomer to the 2A. I'm realistically probably, was it 10 years ago? A little over 10 years ago, I bought my first gun. And growing up in New York, I always believed in the Second Amendment. But New York was the land of no. And pretty much the only thing I could have had is like a shotgun or some sort of long gun on Long Island.
Man, 10 years. 10 years ago, you bought your first gun. I bought my first gun when I was 10.
There you go. But that right there goes to show that Flying Rich is the 2A co-host, because you perfectly segued into the next topic that I was wanting to bring up, which is the video games getting and veering more and more realistic in the portrayal of guns, whether and like you said, being specific models of real guns, whether it be this variation of AK or this model of Glock, that some of them is even ones that you can't even get because it might be like a one of a kind prototype thing or was only made for this military contract, but you're finding those kind of things in the video games to where you have like you said, just about if not all, the vast majority of high school age people being familiar with those from playing video games, even if they didn't do it themselves. Watching other people play video games as a spectator is getting more and more popular, especially in the first person shooter realm, where you have all these YouTube channels and even Twitch and stuff like that, where someone that never even played one of the games can get that same level of familiarity because they're watching someone that they're like a fan of playing those games.
You know, my problem with the video games is everything I run into with them, and I don't play those. I play Legend of Zelda, and that's the only game I practically play. I think I've played, what's that one that Call of Duty? I think I played that. I rented that and tried to play it, and it's like, this is stupid. You know, most of the information they have about the guns is wrong. You know, and I get people coming up to me all the time. I was at a gun shop, and one of the kids that worked there, I was shooting MP5. One of the kids that worked there came up and started explaining to me how an MP5 is far more accurate than an MP5K. And I looked at him, it's like, you're a fucking dumbass. And he's like, no, that's right. And I said, no, it's not.
In Call of Duty, maybe.
And he said, well, in Call of Duty, and it's like, dude, get the hell away from me before I slap you one.
Yeah,
it's like,
see, that's one thing. They might be getting the models and the looks of the guns more and more realistic, but the physics is still way out of whack.
You know,
because you got to be able to match that stuff. Otherwise, you know, everybody will be running around with a Barrett in the game.
Yeah, and you know, the problem I have with the games, it's like, if you're going to do it right, 100%. You know, because all these people are playing these games and they think they know about the guns. You know, I get people all the time. I'll be at the range with the Uzi. Oh, I shoot these all the time. Oh, you do? Oh, yeah, all the time. I've been shooting them for years. Oh, and they don't even know how to operate it. It's like, how can you say you've been shooting them for years if, I'll go through my regular spiel, how to shoot an open bolt gun. And they just look at me with a dazed look in their eyes like, huh? That's not how it is in Call of Duty.
That's pretty. I would never
and
say
I think
like that to anybody. Like, oh yeah, I played this game for years with that. That's kind of like, was it Predator 2? And they're in the drop ship, and the guy looks like he's about to crap himself. They're like, how many drops you do? He's like 99. Yeah. He's like, how many actual? None.
None.
Yeah. But yeah, it's I think partially what the Hoff is bringing up about them kind of being overly cocky, if you will, with their experience, even though they have no hands-on experience, is also leading to where a lot of this crossover with the actual gun guys, and especially a lot of the bigger gun tube type channels, doing gaming things and getting into games and stuff like that, there's a subsection of games that it is that hyper realistic, even if it's not shooting, but like manipulating guns and stuff like that. And like Tarkov is a good example that's talked about a lot for the visual representation of guns. But with what I do on my regular channel with the 3D and the VR stuff, the VR videos is one thing, but VR gaming is where the technology is leading to, and there's a lot more hands-on type simulations that you can do with the VR as far as actually manipulate, like where Hoff was bringing up, oh yeah, this young dude, whippersnapper, whatever you want to say, was talking about, oh, I've shot them all the time, but never actually touched one.
Mm-hmm.
In a quality VR instance, you could actually have that put into the game of, okay, this is what you like for manipulating the bolt and stuff like that. You can actually have them physics built in to where you actually have to grab it this way or do this instead of just push this button on the controller.
Mm-hmm. You know, my big problem with, the VR, and, I've used the FAT system that they use for training with the Glocks and all the air powered Glocks.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they're not even close to reality. It's like, no.
Well,
but this is the military uses this. Well, they're stupid, because it's not reality. And I understand you can't, unless you put somebody in a battle situation, you can't duplicate that no matter what you try. But, you got to put hands on these guns. And too many of these people are, VR, virtual reality, you can learn everything. No, you can't. Go on a flight simulator. It's not the same thing as flying a real plane.
Yep.
Go
I
on.
think, go ahead. I wasn't trying to cut you off.
Go on any of these simulators. Yeah, they can teach you a lot of stuff, but it's nowhere near reality.
Yeah, tuning a simulator, I've got experience with some simulators that are designed, home stuff that are designed to simulate flying. And they can be like very realistic in one way and even harder than reality in certain ways, but then not as hard in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't, a lot of times it doesn't give you a perfect representation. So there's nothing like the real thing.
Yeah. And I think that's the big problem. It's not, one, the technology is not there for these VR stuff. But people think it is, and they think, this is just like reality.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not.
Yeah, I'm glad that you actually brought up the flight simulator stuff, because I knew that Rich would have some experience or insight on that. But I think both of y'all are veering away from what I was trying to bring up about it, which is what Shooting Gallery New England mentioned in the chat. I think I could make it pop up. Yeah. What I was trying to allude to is the realisticness being a way of like a stepping stone to get them to want to get that hands on with the gun and not be that, I've done it 1,000 times, cocky dude at the range that you just want to push away.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might have that kind of kick in the teeth first experience, like Rich was talking about. That it's like, oh yeah, I've shot millions of Uzis, and then you hand them a real Uzi, and they're like, how does this work?
Mm-hmm.
What? All right, so I think we as people that have done that need to know how to adapt in the future. That all right, you're gonna get this kid that played fill in the blank video game and thinks he knows it, and that got him to the range or got him to the event that you're at, and he's about to shoot an Uzi, a real Uzi, for the first time. And I think the way we can do better is to help them through that first experience. Not like, hey, you idiot, you don't know what you're doing. It's like, hold on, let's just go over this. And so I'll give a for example. I can't tell my wife anything. And so what I got here, so we both have SIG P365s, and I printed this base plate because it doesn't have a real pick rail under the barrel of the SIG. And on the bottom is the Mantis. And instead of me telling my wife what she did or didn't do wrong, the Mantis tells my wife what she did or didn't do wrong. And so sometimes having somebody else tell them how to do it is better. And she's actually kicking my ass now with the Mantis. But yeah, it's not real life. You're
and
right.
actually,
sorry, Cody, I didn't want to stomp on you.
no, it's all good. I was trying to give you a chance to finish what you were saying.
Yeah, it's you don't have recoil, you don't have the bang, you don't have, and I don't know about you or and when I say you, I mean people in the audience, other people on the panels. Most of the time when I shoot a pistol, I don't even blink. I see the muzzle flash the whole shooting match. So I think if you hand somebody that, the FPV, FPS, first person shooter pro, a real gun, it's going to F them up the first time.
Oh yeah.
They're not prepared for the blast, the sound, the sights, everything that goes on with that. The smell is a completely different experience.
And
I think
go ahead,
getting
Rich.
them through that. Yeah, I think getting the people, getting them the first live fire experience, getting them enjoying it, making sure they have a good experience. And I think in any discipline, whatever it may be, you get the people that are kind of annoying, the FUDs, and it's like, hey, get away from me with that. And, you could have a bad experience. Whereas I think as long as new people are coming in and having good experiences, that means there's going to be more 2A for everybody in the future.
Yeah. And I've had a lot of good experiences with, young kids coming up to me at the range. When I say young kids, people in the mid-20s and stuff coming up to the range. Oh, I play Call of Duty or whatever game all the time. How do you get an Uzi, or wanting to know about the Uzi? And it's like, you want to shoot it? Oh, could I? And they're not cocky about it. They're like, I play it all the time. I shoot that all the time. I'd love to shoot it. Shoot it.
Yeah.
I'll show you how. It's just, and you know how it is. You always remember the assholes.
Yeah, and I was fixing to say it needs to be more of both of that, of the person coming with real interest but not being cocky, and having someone with the experience willing to take the time and show them to make sure that they have that good first experience to be wanting to continue, and not have that asshole on either end that that might be someone that they'll never go pick up a gun again. You don't know.
Zach Carr says he wants to shoot an Uzi for the first time.
Okay.
I don't know if I've shot
I was thinking,
Uzi.
I know that I definitely haven't.
We haven't been at Hank's place together at the same time, have we?
Nope. No, we haven't.
Because I've always got an Uzi with me. I'm not at a range without an Uzi.
Right. Yeah, I've shot Sten guns, with Walter over at Hank's.
I like the Sten. The Sten's a nice gun to shoot. That and, you know, growing up with World War II movies, you know.
Right.
You know, that helps too.
I keep fighting. I want a Sten in the worst way, but I want it full auto. I don't want.
Yeah. Full auto Stens are fun. They're so fun. You know, they've got a perfect rate of fire.
Yes, I do enjoy that rate of fire. It's like just the right speed.
Yep.
Joe brings up another point that goes along with that. There's a lot of the 22 clones of different models that are on the market now. That is also another good way to bring in people into the firearms without the actual recoil of, say, a 7.62 AK or, you know, something else.
Recoil on those? Wait, there's actually a 22 version of the Mos Nagant. Single shot 22 version of the
Yes.
Mos.
Yep. Well, I love. Oh, go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, I saw it the first time at one of the Iraq veterans shoot. Beautiful gun. I forgot who had it for sale, but just so cool. Just crazy cool.
Yeah. I love the 22 conversion kits for full autos. I mean, like the Uzi, and I'm looking to get an MP5 22 conversion kit right now. If I can scrape the money together. Way too pricey.
And is that similar to the 22 conversion kits for the ARs, to where you use that same basic gun with it being the full auto? I'm sure you got to use the receiver and all of that stuff. Is it similar to that, or is it a bit more involved?
It's same deal, you know. Not like the Uzis, you change the barrel. The MP5s, there's a barrel insert that slides down into the 9mm barrel.
And that's got the rifling in it and stuff too?
Yep. Yeah, it's rifled and all. I know a guy who's got, well, he had 5 of them. I think he sold most of them, but he's supposed to be keeping one for me. And now that I just got an MP5 back, so it's like, all right, bring on that kit. You know, I don't want to spend the $2,000 that it costs, but you know.
Ooh, $2,000 for the kit.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, there was only, what did he tell me, 100 kits that came in or something for the MP5, 75 kits.
So that's another supply and demand type of deal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
If, let's just say I want to pick up a middle of the road MP5, semi-auto. What would that cost?
It's like I'm getting my notebook.
$2,500, $3,000, or $3,500 for a good one.
Huh.
You know, they're not terrible considering what the full autos are, but you know, you know, they're what, $32,000, $35,000 for a sear.
Wow.
Yeah, bend over, prepare to be boarded.
Crikey.
It's like I can think of a lot of things that I could get with that.
A car.
So
yeah,
is asking, where is Hoffman from? He's trying to figure out from the accent. I think we need to play a little game about that. So where he is different than where he's from.
Yep.
So does anybody know? And I guess, you know, Cody, you got to be accepted on this.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm not.
England knows. Does anybody know where Hoffman currently is?
I know where I currently am.
I will say this, though. Where he's from is not the same place that me and you are from.
All right, true. And so I'll give the clue away. Yeah, and Cody and I are from the same place almost. You can tell by the accent. All right, so Man Against the Masses says he's in Florida. Yes, Florida's a big state. Not as big as Texas, but it is a big state.
Oh yeah, speaking of Man Against the Masses, your patch from the giveaway or that you won is in the mail to you. And the other person that won on my last live stream, send me an email again because I lost it. I don't have your address right now.
Here, I'm going to show you my favorite patch. I just think that's the coolest patch ever.
I know. I love that patch.
I just put mine up, so it's not right here to grab.
All right, so nobody's guessing. All right, I'll give you where Richard is. Richard is in Orlando, Florida, but he's not from Orlando. And I'll narrow down one more state, so I only got 48 to choose from. I like Richard because he has a New York attitude, and that's what I'm used to with people, but he's not from New York.
Nope. Or Jersey.
Which
Jersey.
is like New York light.
Yeah, New York light.
What kind of
I was just about to say
state
that.
are you if the New York football teams play in the Meadowlands and they're not New Jersey football teams? I just think that makes your state a complete bitch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, realistically, the only football team that plays in New York is, let's see, what is it? The Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, Buffalo Bills.
Because the Jets and the Giants play in the Meadowlands in New Jersey.
Buffalo's right around the area I'm from.
Mm-hmm. And you can tell by Cody's accent, right?
Yep. I lived for a while not far from New York City. Right in Connecticut.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Maryland or something like that, but
nope.
Connecticut. Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yep. Spent, what, year or two living in Connecticut when I was in my 20s, early 20s.
Oh, okay. And Zach Carr does have a BWE Uzi, but it is a patch on a patch wall.
I want to make a clip of the recent stream with Crump where he was using that patch. Like, he looked just like a little kid playing with it.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And then doing his chair, add the sound effects to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're into the second half of the podcast now, so I'll segue into the other topic away from the kids type stuff and bring up, I know Rich is big in 3D printing, and I know that Hoff is really big on submachine guns and open bolts and stuff like that. I've mentioned on previous streams about Ludi and his submachine gun build that is based off of no gun parts, everything hardware store, because a little backstory about who PJ Ludi was. He's is from England. The laws on the guns, the gun laws over there is different as far as what is a gun or what's not a gun, and what they consider guns that would be parts that would need to be serialized like a receiver here is what they call pressure bearing parts, stuff like your bolt face, your barrel, things like that. So with that in mind, he designed and published the plans on building an open bolt submachine gun using no gun parts by that definition, no purpose built bolt pressure bearing parts. And with him doing that, part of why he did that was with the stance that putting the knowledge out there defeats the gun control that they was doing, which clearly that didn't actually happen. But the idea behind it, once the knowledge is out there, you can't actually stop it being put to use.
So S. Armitage, he shared, actually I haven't looked at the files yet, but he's got plans, and I'm not sure if he's got something fully functional yet, but basically it's a tube gun, semi-auto, and he's working on a build for that. So the same thing, like Ludi, the same philosophy is the same thing with 3D printing, controlled pew. I'm, as much as I've 3D printed stuff, I've pretty much, so the things I fired in 3D printer, hit the cord here, is the Glock bullpup, which other people design. I just clicked print. The other thing I had more design work in, I just kind of merged two people's designs, was an AR-9, and that I fired and broke. And it's kind of like print, shoot, repeat. Another guy in the 3D community. First off, let me just say, there's many other people in the 3D community doing innovative designs and stuff. I'm just kind of a copycat hack, to put it short. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff out there. I do also have a little bit of a machining background. I worked at a automotive machine shop, and the guy was actually plane owner, pilot, and airframe power plant mechanic. So I've got a little bit of experience behind machining equipment, a little bit of knowledge on that. The difference is, say somebody like me, for $150, $175, somewhere under $200, you can have a 3D printer turn out like grips for a gun. And like for a Glock, that's considered the firearm, and have the other parts just sent to your house by the post office. Whereas somebody like Richard or Patrick, they got a lathe, they got a mill, they can do all of the serious heavy metal stuff. So a 3D printer will fit on a card table. You probably don't want to do that, but it would. You can leave it on the floor. Whereas a mill is, 6 feet long. If it's a decent one, it's probably bigger. I'm sorry, a lathe, and a mill, is, buddy of mine just sold a mill. I think it was like 2,500 pounds.
Yeah.
So you're talking.
Yeah, I was going to say they're not light.
Right. And a lot of them run 3-phase. So on Long Island, because of all the aviation manufacturing that was on Long Island, and then when everybody went to CNC, pretty much if you could move a Bridgeport off a loading dock, you could have had one for free.
Yeah. Oh,
so
yeah.
It was just crazy. People, you just giving them things away.
Yeah, and it's too bad they were giving them away, because, that's good equipment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they ain't nothing to slouch at, that's for sure. I'd like to find someone that's giving one away.
Well, all right. So my wife does have a gym area, but I'm not sure if she'd appreciate if I had like a mill and a Bridgeport in there.
Probably not.
Bridgeport. Probably not.
Chips everywhere.
Then you're taking away from her yoga space.
Right. Oh, did you watch that video? Did you watch that live stream?
No comment. But yeah, again, Rich showing that he is the perfect co-host. That's exactly what I was getting to from explaining Ludi's take on it, for that situation being in England and their laws, and the 3D and home machining, or even just home shop machining, taking on the same type of principles here, with the spreading the knowledge and all of that kind of stuff for doing stuff yourself, which of course is still 100% legal, as long as you're following the. No, you're not making anything full auto. You're not making unregistered stuff like that. But
you're not a
building your own gun, yeah, and you're not a prohibitive person.
Yeah.
And I want to say, and I was gonna say, and also something almost exactly like what Ludi said, Cody Wilson mentioned when he started putting his stuff out with the Ghost Gunner and the Songbird 3D printed first 3D printed functioning gun, even though it might not be functional more than once or twice. It was a functioning gun, and that was
that was
part.
without a barrel liner. That was completely 3D printed. The firing pin, I think, was a roofing nail.
Yep.
So, and I believe so. Check me on this. That if you 3D print a firearm, there has to be a certain amount of metal in it, so it's detectable. And that's one of the considerations on something like the Songbird, is there has to be, like, in the grip, there has to be a spot to put a hunk of metal so it's detectable.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is a thing, because I remember it being brought up on a couple of different areas, and that goes back to the whole Glock 9. It's all ceramic and all this stuff. It can't be detected and all that. That don't exist. But the media and stuff tries to make it out to be that all these printed everybody's running around with these crazy ghost guns. You can't find them. You can't trace them. You can't. They'll go running through a metal detector, and they got 6 of them under their shirt, and you don't even know.
Mm-hmm. So 2 things I don't want to say necessarily that I really want to build them, but I'm definitely have a deep curiosity, is the Sten is something I'm seriously interested in. And maybe just a little more not serious, the Monty Griffin, I'm interested in that. I don't know if there's any kits for it still around, but now that was a kit-built 50 cal. I don't know if it's a bolt action or a semi-auto. I think there might have been multiple different versions. And I believe he did like a couple of like 20 mil versions of it.
Mm-hmm.
So the I guess the ATF kicked in his door one day because they thought it was too much of a gun and not enough of a kit. Because and we have the same thing in aviation. You can build your own airplane, but the common vernacular became the 51% rule. There's the actual letter of the law from the FAA says the major portions of the aircraft have to be built by the owner, but there's no definition of what major portions are. It's always pretty much a gentleman's agreement on that. The same thing like 80% gun. There's nothing in the
no such thing. Says,
there's no, you can't find text in any ATF regulation that says 80% guns. 81, no good. 80%, that's the sweet spot.
I've had ATF agents say, "Oh, that's a firearm," or that's, and I just hand it to them and say, "Go shoot it. There's my test trap right there. Go shoot. I want to see you blow your freaking head off."
Yep.
I want to see it go bang. Prove to me it can go bang. Well, kiss my ass. It either is or it isn't. Period.
Mm-hmm. And that was part of going back to Ludi again, where he did end up being arrested for building unregistered machine guns, or even guns for that matter, being in England. But part of that process, being arrested and then being able to charge him, they had to take those guns and fire them and prove that it is a weapon that can be fired, and prove that it was functional.
Somehow, I don't think that was the smartest plan.
No, he was a dumbass.
Well, he was out there behind his shed just shooting them off every weekend anyways. He was not trying to hide anything or do anything the actual smart way if he was doing any of that anyway. Like the local police knew what he was doing. He just was basically asking to be caught pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
he was being an idiot about it. Sten tubes are easy to make. They take no time whatsoever. You can do that with a Dremel and a hand drill.
Well, I watched Walter's son do that. So Walter Keller owns StenParts.com, and they have a laser engraver on a fifth axis. So they just put the Sten tube on it, and it just laser etches where you have to cut.
Mm-hmm.
So it used to be you would have a piece of paper with the pattern on it, and you'd spray some glue on the back and then glue it to the tube, and hopefully you didn't mess it all up and cut it out. But now laser and that's just brilliant. I love that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much that can be done with them laser engravers, but that's another one of them things that they're still kind of up there in price to where it's not just something everyone can go get for their, their backyard shop type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
At least not one that's going to do anything worthwhile for gun stuff as far as metal.
And I'm not Joe Sten, but realistically, you could laser print a sheet of paper with the pattern on it and wrap it around the tube and cut it open, and
Yep.
make all the cuts. So you don't necessarily need that. So I again, not that I know a lot about Stens, but for the most part, it was designed to be simple to manufacture.
Yeah.
And you probably could get plans and do it at your own home.
Oh yeah. There's blueprints online of Sten tubes.
Mm-hmm.
You just download them and print them on a piece of paper and wrap it around the appropriate tube and cut where it says cut.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that was the whole purpose of that design, was that literally any average Joe could turn around and make it in the garage shop, work wherever they was at. It didn't matter if they was at a car shop or wherever, and out of materials that wasn't hard to find or scarce.
Yep.
So Armitage says he sent me the stencils. So I actually read the email. I didn't look at the attachments, but cool stuff.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Armitage as well. He hooked me up with a copy of Ludy's book that I was trying to pull some info out of.
Oh, very cool.
And anybody else that is interested in learning more about Ludy's book and the guns that he built, I'm going to put in the top comment after it's posted for the replay. I'll put a link to the Forgotten Weapons video about Ludy. He explains it a lot better than I could trying to go into it on here.
Cool. So, Cody, you are going to be in Florida when?
I will be coming to the Makers Match in March in St. Augustine, which is another thing that goes back to the 3D printing and building your own guns. That's something that was started last year by a few folks in the community, the 3D printed community. The Are We Cool Yet guys came together and did that part, and then you have Guns for Everyone, which is a non-profit certified training group that does concealed carry classes, and because of their non-profit status, they're able to do different matches like the competition and have it be certified. And the whole thing was put on to get the word out there that no, people that make their own guns aren't necessarily automatically this evil person going out trying to rob you and hunt you down type of stuff, that it is an actual hobby that anybody could do and is legal to do, as long as you're not prohibited or you're not skirting things.
As long as you play by the rules.
Problem with the Makers Match is it's just 3D printed.
No, it's not just 3D printed.
So when I don't know, I looked at it once and it's like everything was 3D printed. It's like
no, it could be like an 80% AR.
Yeah, I was going to say they have two categories of stuff at the moment. You have your kit build stuff, which is using an 80% type thing and building, whether it's a pistol or an AR. You have your 3D printed category, which is the same type of deal, but instead of starting with a 80% frame, you 3D print the parts. And then they have one small subsection of everything that can be is 3D printed. But that's more like just a bonus exhibition type thing. I think they had 5 people that tried to do it or brought something for that the first time.
And
But
maybe
even
that's
like,
what it is, that they don't have a category that I fit into, because I don't use 80% receivers.
Right.
You know, I make if they're tube receivers, I make them from tube stock.
Yeah, but I think you'd be the perfect candidate for the makers.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, the build it completely yourself from scratch would still kind of fall under that kit build category, since it's not 3D printed, but it is you built the gun yourself, which is the purpose of that. It's just that's the 2 main common ways for the average person to have made their own gun is going to be from an 80% or 3D printed, because there ain't many folks out there like the Hoff that's actually going to make straight up from scratch, or even like Armitage or something like that. It's not something that's as prevalent, but it's definitely not something that's not allowed.
And that's the one thing that with 3D printing that's getting me, is that people, oh, you got a 3D print, you got a 3D print. What happened to all the people that bought a parts kit and built a gun? You know, because they've been doing that forever.
Yeah, you're right about that. I think it's the new boogeyman.
Yep.
Because they say ghost gun, and show me where a serial number right here made somebody safe.
Show me where all the guns that have come through here where they ground off the serial number is any different.
Yeah.
So that, untraceable guns. Yeah, so. I've bought firearms and peer-to-peer transactions at gun shows. The gun show loophole. Well, it's a peer-to-peer transaction. It's not a loophole.
I think one of the last face-to-face gun transactions that I did was actually with a police officer.
Mm-hmm. So Joe's got a good comment in here. He says he's going to be competing in the Makers match next weekend. I don't know if it's this Saturday, Sunday coming up, or a week from that. And he's in Afghanistan. So that's going to be cool. And I'm waiting for Joe to chime in.
That's a regional Makers match that they're hosting up there, and it's pistols only.
So it's like polymer 80 stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They had one, I want to say at the start of October, or it might have been a little bit earlier in Denver. They was the first regional Makers match, and it was the same type of deal, pistols only.
And Armitage.
And it was.
Okay, so Joe says it's not this weekend, and Armitage has a good comment that ultimately all guns are untraceable unless they have a barrel map of your specific barrel. They couldn't actually match a bullet to your gun.
And that also, you just polish the barrel. You just fire a couple of rounds of some cast lead bullets with like valve grinding compound or buffing compound on them. Shoot a half a dozen of those through. You're done. They'll never be able to match it.
So I've bought Rugers in the past where they'll come with like a little packet of a bullet that's been fired.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, have either of y'all watched the TV show Yellowstone?
Mm-mm.
No, actually, yeah, I've seen 2 episodes of it. That's right.
Well, going into some of the stuff that's being mentioned, especially what Armitage just brought up, that television show. I want to say it was one of the episodes in the second season, but it had one of the best examples of a like what if type situation of something happening, and like say you're worried about your gun being traced or whatever, and what they in the show, it happened to be Glocks. The cop guy that was investigating it ended up just swapping slides with the
Wow.
guy, to where the one that actually fired the stuff is now on the cop's gun and his is on the other. There's no difference. The gun
Yep.
itself is still considered the serialized frame.
And so a lot of guns, it's the serial numbers on the frame. If you buy something like a Canic, and I know I pronounced it wrong, but I'm an American, that's how we say it. There's 3 serial numbers. There's a serial number on the grip, there's a serial number on the slide, there's a serial number on the barrel.
All them
That's kind of,
serial numbers.
oh yeah, yeah.
And unless you talk about a German gun, and then every frickin' piece has a damn number on it.
Yeah, like a Mosin, the bolt has a serial.
Yeah.
The floor on the magazine has a serial number. The barrel has a serial number.
Cocking piece has a serial number on it. The screws are serial numbered. It's
the
like
parts that's too small to fit the whole number is going to have the last digits of the number on it.
It's like, what a waste of time.
Oh my gosh! God bless the Germans.
Damn crowds.
At least they didn't have to hand stamp each one of them.
Oh, they had a machine to do it?
Yep.
I'm assuming, yeah. I mean,
oh,
yeah.
If not, then they're really good at not, everything being spaced out right and stuff, and not showing or appearing to be hand done.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, when they're putting out so many, there's got to be some kind of mechanization going on.
Yeah.
Armitage brought up another good point, especially with them proposed rules that they tried to bring up.
Oh.
He says, how many NICS checks are they planning to make one rifle take?
One.
Well, so Walter Keller was selling a 50 caliber upper at Safety Harbor Firearms it would fit an AR-15. You'd have to change out the hammer, and basically it would fit on your AR lower. The lower is the serialized part, so Walter could ship a 50 caliber barrel with a bolt, like a bolt action gun, to your house.
Mm-hmm.
And the ATF got its shorts and a wad on that and said, yeah, no, that is a rifle.
I think you
no
explained
other
it.
upper is.
I think you explained their reasoning for it perfectly with how you described it. They said it's too close to a bolt action rifle, so they wanted it to be serialized on its own.
Nah, the government has a hard on for 50 cals is what it comes down to,
Yeah.
because we all know how many 50 cal deaths there are and how many 50 cals are involved in mass shootings each year. So
well, you've been shot down twice in your plane, haven't you, with a 50 cal? Just blame it on the 50 cals.
Right.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was one more topic that I wanted to touch on if we had time, going back to in the past versus now. People's all familiar with the term mass shooting now, and everybody, the media is all, oh, black rifle bad, assault weapon bad. But I'm sure y'all remember the Austin University incident, sniper, whatever you want to call it. He didn't have an AR. He didn't have a black rifle. He didn't have an assault rifle. He had bolt actions and I want to say a pump or a slide action.
I think it was a Remington slide action he had. I'm thinking. You know, one of the, what is it, 7600, 7400, whatever the hell the slide action version of that was.
And what year did that happen?
I was about to try to Google. I said, no, I'm not going to mess with the phone.
60. Was in the 60s, but I don't remember when.
There's a good documentary about it on Netflix. I want to say, I think it was 68 or 69.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Because I want to say they was talking about leading into the Summer of Love type stuff too. Time frame.
What I think is interesting is the concept of mutually assured destruction. And as a guy, we learned growing up, if you run your mouth enough, you're going to get a fist in it. And I think that's one of the reasons a bunch of guys get together. They know they go here, and you don't go any further because you're going to get a fist in it. And I think the same thing goes with familiarity. So we're all familiar with a fist fight. And if we were growing up and familiar with firearms and the lethality of them and just common courtesy rules with them, that you now think of it as a hammer or a shovel and not this thing that it's been made into by the media.
Yeah.
I think there would be a tremendous decrease if we had, even if it was air rifle in the schools, we taught some sort of firearms training as a skill, just like CPR that you taught kids.
Yeah, you could even do the same thing just using blue guns and still be able to go over your basic fundamentals of firearm safety.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think that if we were all more familiar with that, and that if people think somebody with a gun is invincible and you're not familiar with the gun and familiar with how it works, you would have if you were familiar with those things, a shooter, an active shooter, would less likely score more victims because other people would know, hey, he's got his back to me. I can grab his arm. If I grab the slide, it's not going to work.
Yep.
There's more to it if you're familiar with it.
And that also full circle too. If you don't, if you make it second nature to already have them safety things built in, you're going to decrease the number of accidents as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially dealing with like adolescents and teenagers. If you do something like this, say you do it 8th grade to 10th grade, somewhere's in there, end of middle school, early high school, everybody gets that basic firearm safety stuff, which you don't even got to do it any further if you want to, but just say introducing it back into the schools.
Should start way before that. You know.
Yeah, well, I wasn't sure what age group to be talking about. I just meant in general, but you're going to lower the number of curiosity-induced accidents because that mysteriousness and stuff like that will not be as great.
You know, I never had any problem with my kids, and they were handling machine guns when they were 5 years old. You know, hey, bring me that one over there, and they, grab it, and
Well, not everybody can have Hoff as daddy.
But okay, as bad as the NRA is, when my son was in 3rd grade, I went into the school. I got all the stuff, that Eddie the Eagle program the NRA did, which was a good program. Got all the stuff, went in, did the presentation for ended up doing it for the whole school. I did it
Oh,
for,
very cool.
his class, and the school called me and said, can you come back and do it in all the grades?
Oh, that's fantastic.
And
That's
it's just,
awesome.
if you see a gun, leave it alone, go get an adult, yada, 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 But it's like, that's when it should start.
Yeah, and that's how I trained my daughter. I say, hey,
Yep.
you're welcome to see it anytime. Treat every gun as
Yep.
though it's loaded. If you're with friends and you find a gun, don't touch it. Find an adult. And if you're at somebody else's house, come home. Don't stay there. I went
Yep.
through all that with her.
Yeah, and all that stuff should be more commonplace and not just just amongst people that's in the 2A community
Right.
a lot, like what Flying Rich mentioned at the beginning. He's still relatively new to this himself. Stuff like that should be basic knowledge, just like what you mentioned, CPR, stuff like that. Even something basic first aid as far as stop the bleed and how to apply a tourniquet and stuff like that. And not just in schools, but going back to talking about previous generations and their everyday common knowledge of guns and using them and safety and stuff. You had a lot more people back in the 40s and even 50s that would go out and shoot lunch themselves, go out hunting rabbits and squirrels and this and that, whatever. Now you still have that occasionally, but it's relegated more to like the country folk or stuff like that. Whereas back there, that literally was a time frame where if they wasn't doing that, they might not have eaten.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that
There was no Lunchables and all this kind of stuff.
So, I grew up on the South Shore of Long Island, Lunchable capital of the world. My mom made lunch. That was how it worked. My first contract out of New York was in Monroe, Louisiana, where some people ate roadkill, or they shot a squirrel and stuff like that. So
killed a gator.
Yeah. Yep, that too.
I just want to mention Joe Morgan's comment for the people that's listening to the audio only. The class needs to be a gun safety, first aid, home ec, and shop combined.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other thing. Home
Everybody
ec
needs
is
to
not
take it.
as common anymore neither in the schools.
And
go ahead, Rich. That needs to be taught to everyone, not only girls, not only boys. Everyone needs to learn that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, I did home ec, the whole sewing, cooking. I did shop. I want to take every class they taught in school. I was kind of nutso about that stuff. But I just want to, one thing my dad did. So my dad did exactly the opposite of what I said I did with my daughter. I showed her the gun. I showed her how to check that it's empty. My dad showed my sister and I, and we're probably like 5 years old at the time. He's like, here's my deer rifles. They're right here, and you will never touch them. And he said that so sternly. So basically, we forgot they even existed.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 10 years later. It's like, oh yeah, Dad has rifles. I forgot. And it's like, but I remember he put the fear of God in us about that, which, depending on the kid, that was it. That was the brick wall, and it's impenetrable. Other kids might be curious. It's like, oh, let's go check them out. Dad told us.
I was going to say, you got the flip side of that. You have the people that said, you told me not to. Let's go see.
He yelled and screamed, and there was no question in our minds. We were not going near them, not touching them, not going near them.
And I took all the same things too, the full home ec, the cooking, cleaning, sewing, shop, wood and metal shop and stuff like that. So I might be a little biased on some of that stuff because that is ingrained to where it's just second nature, not thinking of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in Appalachian Gunrunner, he's got a comment here. Symptom of living in a disposable society. Just buy a new one, order food. No one learns
Yeah.
how to repair anything. And I'm gonna throw my daughter and my wife under the bus. They laugh at me. I can't play an instrument. I can't hold a tune. I can't sing. I can't dance. I'm like, I can fix the freaking car. They're like, oh, well, AAA will change the tire for us. I'm like, when they come in 3 hours, if they're not busy, yeah.
Yep.
I'm like, not only can I, change the tire, I can change the engine, the transmission, rebuild the differential, a turbocharger, the whole shooting match. But that's not valuable. I can't sing and dance.
That's true.
Yeah, we've seen you attempt and not so good at times.
Ooh.
Man, that's kind of cold.
It's a rough crowd here.
But yeah, going back to what you was talking about of having that drive to want to learn them different skills and stuff for yourself, that's what actually made me start working at the meat processing place that I'm working at. Was I went there to just learn how to do it for myself, to be able to have them skills one day. And it led into actually being a job where I was able to make pretty decent money at it. But the whole purpose that I went into, I wasn't planning on going, okay, I'm going to work here still 10 years later. I was going into it as this is something that could be really useful.
Oh, hell yeah.
Even everybody probably starts thinking stuff like that after the last year and a half we've had now. But even though you can go buy meat in the grocery store now, the prices just keeps going up and up and up to where it's still going to be restricted. So having a way to be able to put food on the table yourself is something that is going to mean the difference between making it or not if things keep getting worse.
Yep. Go shoot me some squirrels and a gator.
Now, a buddy of mine says that,
hey, squirrels ain't bad.
If you get a squirrel on a pine tree, it's got a piney flavor to it.
I don't know about that.
And he also told me you can starve to death eating rabbit. So rabbit, there's not enough fat in them.
Yep, it's 100% lean. You have to add stuff to it, but it is the leanest meat that you can get, even more than deer or venison, which is considered, and even venison is already half as lean as, say, something like beef. But yeah, if you actually, and same thing going back to some of them folks back then that had to survive off of going out and getting rabbits, people that didn't do something else with that, you literally could starve to death, even though you're sitting there steadily eating, because you're not getting the same thing with scurvy and stuff like that. That's just absence of basic nutrients that we take for granted today.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, and Dirt McGirt, how's it going? He says rabbit is amazing.
I don't know if I've ever had rabbit.
No, I've never had rabbit.
Well, I'll have to change that, Rich.
I'd eat rabbit. I'm okay with that.
Oh yeah, I'd eat rabbit. I'll eat just about anything. Long as it stays still long enough.
That Dirt mentioned, a lot of the problem people have with eating different wild game is they'll overcook it.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So depending on if you're processing the deer, so the reason you want to cook steak at such a high temperature is because it's processed in a factory and they're cutting stuff open with saws and stuff like that. And if somebody field dressed the deer, you're getting all the bad stuff out of it. So the deer meat is a lot cleaner than just beef that you get from factory.
A lot less hormones and everything else in it too.
And for all those folks that is a little more on the left as far as food goes, they're 100% organic. They've been eating 100% organic diet when you came upon it.
Well, as I say, I'm a vegan, a secondhand vegan.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot
Yes.
what movie it was where he was said, salad, that's not dinner, that's dinner for my dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Zach Carr. He says time to serve up some Rocky Mountain oysters. You can have them all.
Yeah.
I eat oysters, not Rocky Mountain. Yeah, growing up on Long Island, we would dig clams with our feet, bust them open on the cleat of the boat, and eat them right there.
Yep.
Yeah, that's more for y'all.
Yeah.
Guess I spent too much time in Texas. I don't know. Maybe if you grilled it and threw it on a tortilla, I don't know.
What, cooking clams?
Steamers.
Sorry, I was trying to catch up some on the comments.
Yeah.
They started going pretty quick.
Somebody said back here they never found out where I'm from.
Oh. No, I don't see any guesses. Should we give it to?
Sure, why not?
The last guess I seen was Rhode Island, which is a big
Yeah. What is it, Rich? You know?
I know where you're from.
Don't.
Well, I don't know. Dirt, were you in here when the question was asked of where Hoff is from? Or did you come in after that?
I think he came in after that.
Yeah.
We'll give Dirt a chance to guess real quick.
So the Hoff is in Orlando, and he's lived in a number of different places. He originated in one state and then started moving around from there.
Yep. Pittsburgh was interesting.
I see the answer.
Yep.
So
that's the
Appalachian
place.
Gun Runners got it. It's Ohio.
Yep. Mistake on the lake.
Ohio.
Cleveland? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm from the east side. My wife is from the west side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've flown over it.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
was it on fire? Was the river on fire at the time?
No, the river wasn't on fire, but I had a tough time starting my plane. I was going to Oshkosh, and I stopped and got gas, like in the Cleveland area.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're coming up on an hour and a half now, and I think we touched on all the topics I was hoping to get to tonight. So if y'all have anything else you'd like to add, last thoughts, and then I'll let y'all put out y'all stuff. I was about to say pimp it, but this might be the wrong crowd to mention that.
Well, if we're going to talk about where I'm from, we should probably talk about where I've been. Because I spent 10 years in Northern Virginia, in Old Town Alexandria. Spent time in Connecticut, Maine, bumming around New England for about 6 months. Louisiana. Been in Florida for 17 years now. Where else? So I picked up little pieces of accent here and there, and
And where in Louisiana were you?
Shreveport.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, you got me beat by almost double. I got a mixed accent too, but I've only been in 4 states. Born in New York, moved to Pennsylvania, grew up in Texas, and then came to Mississippi for a woman, the woman.
That's right. I spent 18 months in Pittsburgh. That was interesting. Especially in the mornings when the sun would come up and the sky was green from all the iron and steel pollution. That was fun.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah,
That was weird.
And got gas. I haven't been around Pittsburgh.
I got gas a lot there. Not the same kind of gas, I don't think.
Right.
He wasn't getting someone else to pump it.
No.
And Zach Carr's got 100% Southern drawl. So, Swampy, have you actually met Zach Carr?
I have not met him yet, but it is supposed to be in the works.
I thought he's 30 minutes away from you.
Zach Carr is about an hour and a half away. Dirt is less than 30 minutes from me.
Oh, okay, cool. All right.
Yep, that's probably true. Man Against the Massa says ZZ Top wrote about the Hoff.
Now, is that Sharp Dressed Man? What are we talking about?
As I was just going to say, are they talking Sharp Dressed Man or Gots to Get Paid?
Gots to Get Paid, probably. Ass, gas, or grass. Nobody rides for free. I guess I can't say that anymore.
Nah.
Yeah, now it might be a plug.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're correcting me.
Okay.
He's nationwide.
He's bad. He's nationwide. But yeah, thank you. I did want to give a big thank you to everybody in the chat for coming on and watching this whole time on the first episode of the podcast. I want to give a big thank you to the guest I had tonight, Hoff and Flying Rich, for coming on and sharing y'all's thoughts with us.
Yeah, and so
no problem.
I think we have to there has to be some sort of ritual to make this a gun podcast. You did fill the fiduciary requirements by having both Richards on. But I always think about, and let's see, I know Hoffman saw this, we haven't talked about it, but when Bugs Bunny was tunneling to Pismo Beach and came upon like the chamber with all the jewels in it, and Daffy Duck wanted it, and he did the Ookie Eekie dance and made it his. He's like, "It is yours." Well, I'm not doing that, but I just want to make that reference.
Yeah, I'll put it full. Yeah. No, we'll save that for later on the next episode when it's streamed on Utreon.
Yeah, we're not allowed to do that here.
All right, you'll get put in the corner, and I won't get to have another episode.
I'll get my little bottom spanked. What they don't know is I like that.
He says, "Please, sir, may I have another?"
May I have another? Drill holes in your paddle. You can get more velocity out of it. It hurts more. Thank you.
Yep. But yeah, I guess I'll do it backwards, and we'll start with Flying Rich this time. Go ahead and shout out your channels and let people know where to find you.
FlyingRich.com, YouTube.com/FlyingRich, Utreon.com/C/FlyingRich, and Instagram is FlyingRich_official.
Because someone else beat you to it.
Yeah, there is a Flying Rich out there on the grams.
And I have been guilty of accidentally referring him a few times to other people, meaning to send you, and then they're like, "He's not talking."
Oh yeah, he won't reply to me. I'm checking.
Excuse me.
Flying Rich, and his first name is Danny. Let's see. He's got 138 posts now. Living life single. I don't know.
Armitage says they're still okay with handling guns on pre-recorded shows, right? Yes. For now.
I think so, yeah. Well, who knows with their new rules they just came up with. You know, I still haven't figured out if I'm allowed to play with anything I've got here.
Well, you're not allowed to refer to firearm companies. Like if I say, "Oh, I got this great deal at Palmetto State Armory," you're not allowed to do that. Not even if you don't give the full web address.
Yeah, they're trying to weasel their way into things. But yeah, let me turn it over to you, Hoff, and you go ahead and give your channels and where people can find you.
You can find me on most of the social media channels and alternative text sites. It's just put in BWE Firearms and I'll show up. You know, it all depends on what they make me use. But if you put in BWE Firearms, I'm there. You can go to my website at bwefirearms.com. Email me at richard@bwefirearms.com, and there I am.
And Richard's phone number is 867-5309.
867-5309. These young kids won't know what the hell that is.
SwampTalk left us.
I think he left us. Now. I think he just said to hell with you guys.
So do we pick up some like unofficial thing you can't have on YouTube and hold it up?
Get him canceled.
Get him canceled. Alrighty, guys. Oh, he's back.
Sorry about that.
He's back.
I'm
back. I was just gonna reach for something. Let's see, right there.
Let's go, Brandon.
I can't tell you what I put it into, but it's got a stock on it.
Oh.
I
heard Sleepy Joe is
a brace.
Yeah.
Oh, brace, yes. It's
I heard Sleepy Joe is starting to think his name is Brandon.
and more and more people are starting to like him now.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, I want to thank y'all for coming on. Go ahead and subscribe to their channels, and make sure y'all subscribe to the channel here too to see more of the podcast coming out. I'm planning on doing another one next week. We're going to be talking about it's okay to disagree and how everything has become completely polarized, even to the most simplest things.
Just listen to everything I say. We're all good.
Mm-hmm.
Simple.
Yeah, my way or the highway type of deal, right?
Yep.
Indeed.
All right, well, y'all take it easy and y'all be good.
See y'all later.